This week's scenario is Destruction from the 2014 Steamroller packet. This scenario does have the Killbox Artifice in effect and consists of a single zone which can be controlled for 1 CP or dominated for 2 CPs. However, this cannot be performed until the enemy objective has been destroyed for 1 CP in the zone. The enemy objective consists of defense of 5, armor 18, and 15 health boxes. The objective also has the asset protection rule. If this model were to be disabled, you may choose a friendly model within 4 inches to be destroyed in its place, allowing you to remove 1 point of damage from the objective.
So for today's battle, I decided to play Absylonia Terror Everblight, or P. Absylonia. It's a tier 4 list with a Seraph, a Ravagore, an Angel, a Scythean, a Raek, a Harrier, and 3 Shredders, a full spawning vessel unit, 3 Forsaken, and 2 Shepherds to help out with my Fury.
This week I'll be playing my P-Grim list. The P-Grim list uses the Earthborn Pyre Troll as a late game melee threat, and then a bunch of range elements from the Impaler, Bomber, and then Pyre Trolls. Boomhowlers are more just kind of a screen with their 4+ tough. The Krielstone I have in the unit to knock out stealth or incorporeals if I'm facing against cricks, and the pigs are just allowed me to use a 6-point unit to potentially take out a heavy. The rest of it's just backup support. Troll deployment. Since I got first turn, I'm not going to be able to tell where his models are going to go, so I'm going to have to deploy based on scenario. I know that the hill to the farthest end of the screen on my side is within Killbox on its closest corner. So I'm going to probably drive Grim towards that area. As such, I'm going to use the Bomber and the Impaler to allow me some range elements, since he's going to have to go towards that end of the zone in order to take out the objective. The Earthborn is going to be deployed near the forest and the water, just so I can try and abuse that element since there's no linear obstacles for him to gain armor. And then I'm going to be putting Horgle and the Pyre on the left-hand side, so that way the Pyre could potentially put damage on the objective.
So for my deployment, I deploy Abby more or less centrally to the board, with an Angel and a Scythean on one side, and a Ravagore and the Seraph on the other, and the Raek right next to Absylonia. I have to make sure that I leave room so that my spawning vessel can actually get up the board and get into a good position where I can actually start collecting corpses and spitting out more lessers. So I push the Angel and the Scythean a little bit to the side. I put my Shepherds behind the Seraph and the Ravagore, away from Absylonia and the Forsaken, and then I put the 3 Forsaken on my right flank.
For my Burrower setup, I'm placing them in a ways that I might be able to use them for turn 2 Ravagore shot, or maybe even take out the Slipstream Seraph.
The tier lets me advance deploy my lesser war beasts, so I put them pretty much all the way up front. I have the Harrier on my right flank, hopefully to threaten Pendrake, because with the True Strike in charge I can hit him fairly easily. So the tier list lets me advance to move 1 heavy war beast for each Forsaken. So I just move up the Ravagore to try and threaten hopefully his Boomhowlers, and I also move my Angel up onto a hill, and I move my Scythean up the board.
Trolls turn 1. So, Legion advance moving heavies. Ugh. Anyways, I moved the Burrowers up with the original intent, and then I'm going to go ahead and push the Boomhowlers up. I'm not pushing them far into the zone, or I don't plan to push them far into the zone, merely because I don't need to. Like, they don't present a need where they have to get across the field past the zone of the destruction scenario. So they're really just going to be more for choking up charge lanes for Legion beasts, and then also to provide sack pawns for the objective, should he go after the objective. I deployed Boomhowler on the hill, which actually in hindsight probably wasn't best move. It'd be better to put him behind two base-to-base Boomhowlers, just because if Greygore is on a hill, yes, he has an increased defense, but he's also targetable. Grimdo goes ahead and puts his Fury into the stone, and then advances onto the hill. I know where Greygore Boomhowler is standing right now. I will be safe from killboxing myself, and only in that spot. So I'm prepping him for when Greygore moves forward, he can move into that place. And then I'm just kind of advancing up the rest of my force. The Pyre Troll is getting into position with Hotshot cast on him by Horgle, getting ready to shoot the objective potentially in the next turn. I had Pendrake go up, and I'm not sure what was going through my mind at the time, but I actually had him shifting towards the beasts, when in actuality Pendrake's abilities don't affect the beast. He should have been paired up with the Boomhowlers. So that's a horrible deployment on my part, and horrible play on my part with Pendrake. The Earthborn moves up into the woods. I measured to make sure that he was going to be in range. I'm setting the Bomber up for going after some heavies next turn. The Impaler will kind of play in between the Bomber and Grim to make sure that Farstrike's capable. And then the Stone's going to activate, and it's going to do no continuous effects, and it's going to advance up into an area where he's basically covering a majority of the army, except for Pendrake, which isn't affected Horgle on the Pyre.
So for my turn 1, I'm looking at the board and I feel like I have a good shot at least putting damage onto Boomhowler. So I measure my control area, trying to figure out exactly where Abby needs to be for this turn. So Absylonia goes ahead and puts Forced Evolution up on my Raek, as well as casting Slipstream, and then she advances and slipstreams the Raek 2 inches up the board, and then she puts Tenacity on herself. I have my Raek go ahead and move up, and then he leaps into the center of the zone. With Forced Evolution, he's defense 17, so he's fairly hard to hit. Then I go ahead and move up my Ravagore. I put my Animus up, and then boost a shot at Boomhowler, and manage to force a tough check, which of course he makes, but he's at least on fire. So then I move up my Shepherd and fix my Fury on the Ravagore. I go ahead and move my Seraph, so he walks within 2 inches of my Scythean, and then I go ahead and slipstream the Scythean, with the Seraph, of course, casting his Animus and Slipstream. I just have my Shepherd move around. I don't have anything for him to really fix at this point, so the Shredder moves up, puts Tenacity on the Raek, bumping its defense to 18. So that's, again, fairly hard to hit for most things. The other Shredder puts Tenacity up on my Scythean and then advances. And my last Shredder, again, puts Tenacity up on my Angel and then just walks forward, staying within Absylonia's control area. My Angel walks up, not terribly far, but enough to stay on the hill. With Tenacity and the hill bonus, it's defense 17, so it should be fairly safe from any shooting that comes my way next turn. My one Forsaken advances and takes the Fury off the Shredder. Then I have my Pot advance. I decide not to kill any Acolytes this turn, because I don't really need another Lesser on this at this point. My Harrier just walks up, then I have a Forsaken advance, and then my other Forsaken advances.
Troll's turn 2. So, the Raek in the center of the zone is, I wouldn't say he's dangerous, but he is threatening. He's not going to kill heavy anytime soon. He'll probably kill 1 or 2 Boomhowlers, but he's a threat in the sense of I have to worry about the fact that at any given time in his activation he can actually leap, and with his Animus he can do so without any sort of repercussions of it. So I need to position myself in such a way that I am going to lock him up or deal with him and not have him potentially leaping further back and start working on the stone or putting damage into Madrak or anything like that. So starting the activation, checked on fire on Boomhowler, and it didn't go out, but enough damage was actually triggered from the fire to make him have to go through a tough check again. So I get to keep Boomhowler for 1 more turn, which is a stroke of luck for me. Contemplating about where I want to put the Burrowers, I decide that I want to engage the Raek, and I also want to engage the Ravagore to shut down the Ravagore shooting. So I'm laying the Burrowers down. Now, one of the things that I should have done in this scenario was I actually should have deployed one of the Burrowers slightly with the rest, but closer to Pendrake. With the Raek having forced evolution, I'm going to have a hard time even hitting him. So I need the increased decrease to my mat from both the Fellcaller and from Beastlore from Pendrake. I didn't do that, unfortunately, which just credits to an even worse play with Pendrake this game, and I apologize for that. But I set them up, and I activate the Grim. I have him go forward. He puts more into the stone to max the stone out, and then he's going to take a shot at the Raek. Just trying to put some damage into it to help the Burrowers out, because I'm going to be sending more over to the Ravagore than I will to the Raek, and I want to make sure that I can assist him in potentially killing him. So he goes for the shot and misses, even with the boost. So the Fellcaller activates because I know there's no way that Mat 4 Burrowers are going to be able to do anything, even for the Ravagore. I need to have that War Cry put onto them. And I'm kicking myself for not putting Beastlore on them as well. So I activate the Burrowers. First one's going to go ahead and charge against the Ravagore. We make sure that he's not going to trigger a free strike from the Raek's tail. The next one's going to activate, but there's conflicting interests with where the objective is going to go, so we use a proxy base, measuring the lineup for that to see where he's going to land, and then I move him. I actually move him. He does not have, he's not going to be able to engage the Ravagore, but since I already committed to the action, I had to move him anyways. So, and then I start putting some into the Raek. Now the Raek, my tactic here is I'm hoping to put some damage on the Raek. I have no illusions that I'm not going to be able to hurt it, not with forced evolution on it. But what I would like to do is I would like to engage him so that he's not going to be able to advance left or right or anything like that, so that his only movement potential is the leap that he has. So just putting the Burrower leader in between the two groups so that everybody's within command, except for the far outside one, but since he wasn't going to be doing it in melee, it wasn't much of an issue for him anyways. So I go through, lots of miss. Anytime I'm hitting with the melee weapon, but the melee weapon's only a POW 8, so it doesn't have enough potential to do any major damage. Going against the Raek with Force Evolution, I think every single one of them missed. I don't think I got even one lick of damage on him. So, recognizing that if I don't do anything about the zone, my opponent's going to be able to clear out the burrowers that are in the zone. I have to commit more into the zone to make sure that he is not going to engage the unengage the Ravagore and then turn around and just blast the objective and clearing the burrowers and get 3 points out of the activation. I put the Boomhowlers into the zone, making sure that they're engaged up. I'm putting Boomhowler behind the objective so that if the Ravagore does back up, he's not going to get another shot at him, assuming I actually manage to live by the fire. But I would like to have the opportunity to potentially not die to fire, as opposed to get shot and guarantee that I will die. So they go for the 4+ tough, and they're just basically engaging into the zone, taking some pot shots where I can, shooting at the shredder. Nothing's hitting, everything's missing. So I'm just going through the activations. In hindsight, I wanted to make sure that some of them were around the objective, but there actually aren't that many around the objective. I probably shouldn't have been greedy for the trying to get the shredder, the 2 shots on the shredder, and put more around the objective. For the zone purpose, but also because I want to clog up the space with medium bases, so that since the Raek can't move because of the burrowers, if I can clog enough medium bases in the area that he also can't leap, then I can keep that Raek locked down. And since the Ravagore is going to be dealing with the burrowers next turn, that's 2 beasts that I can lock down. Bomber activates, toss the bombs, didn't do anything. The Earthborn is just getting in position for counterstrikes. I'm using Horgle to check distance to see if I will be able to advance the Pyre up. I want to shoot the Harrier because I do not want that Harrier flying anywhere near Pendrake or Horgle and auto-striking and potentially killing them in a charge. Because he's got Eyeless Sight, the Force doesn't affect him, and True Strike just means he's going to hit them no matter what. And I really just don't want to deal with that. So I target him to catch him on fire.
So turn 2. I failed to kill Boomhowler with fire last turn, so that was kind of irritating. So I check for fire. My Harrier dies. My Ravagore is kind of tied up right now. Same with my Raek, but not terribly worried about it. I go ahead and leech my Fury and upkeep Forced Evolution on my Raek for free, because Absylonia is resourceful, so I don't have to pay for that, which is always nice. So I check my control area, and again, trying to figure out exactly where Absylonia needs to be this turn. I go ahead and have my Shredder put Tenacity up on my Angel again, and then it just walks forward, still staying on the hill. I have my other Shredder advance and put Tenacity up on my Scythean, who I slipstreamed forward last turn and then forgot to move. So he's been sort of just hanging out. I cast Slipstream, I walk up. Yeah, and then put Force Solution up on the Angel and move the Scythian up. I go ahead and leap with my Raek. And try and hit Boomhowler. I hit him enough, which causes a tough check. He's knocked down, and I try and hit him again, but 4-up tough keeps him alive. But he's knocked down, and still on fire, so hopefully fire will actually do something in my opponent's next turn. I move up the pot just a little bit forward and trying to make sure that everything's placed where it needs to be. I go ahead and start trying to kill some acolytes. I collected 1 corpse for my Harrier dying, so I really only need to kill 2 more. So I get the 2 corpses that I need, and I go ahead and spawn a Stinger. My Shredder goes ahead, puts Tenacity up on my Scythean, goes rabid, advances, and bites one of the Boomhowlers, but the Boomhowler doesn't die because of 4-up tough. My Scythean advances and starts making attacks. Hits his first attack. My opponent makes his tough check, so I go ahead and put up the Scythian's Animus, which of course takes away Tenacity, and then he starts attacking. He tries to wipe out as many of the burrowers as he can, and he's more or less successful. He kills a bunch of them, but he doesn't quite clear everybody out. However, what he did do was open up a charge lane for my Stinger to hit to get to the bomber. The Stinger hit and does some damage to the bomber. Ravagore goes ahead and starts making attacks, trying to hit the burrowers that's tying it up. And he's fairly successful. My Shepherd walks up again and takes the Fury off the Ravagore. My Seraph casts Slipstream, advances onto the hill, and slipstreams the Angel forward. I have one of my Forsaken advance and take the Fury off of the Scythian. And then I have my Angel charge the Pyre Troll, boost its attack roll, and miss. Which is mildly irritating. But buys an attack. The Angel is doing some damage to the Pyre Troll, And then, of course, since I didn't kill it, I'm going to be on fire. I have my other Forsaken advance take the Fury off of the Angel. And my other Forsaken advances onto the hill and takes the Fury off the Shredder. My Shepherd just runs onto the other side of the board.
Troll's turn 3. So last turn was a turn of surprises. I'm surprised that I still have things engaging the Scythean, surprised the Ravagore is still locked up, and surprised that my Pyre is actually still alive. So I'm looking at the table, and Abby has 2 Fury on her for transfers, and I have my feet to deal with tenacity and her already high toughness, or I'm sorry, her already high defense. So I'm kind of looking at the assassination scenario. Now, ideally, I need all of my shots. I need the Pyre, I need the 2 bomber shots, I need Grimm's gun, and probably also need the Impaler spear, to be honest, to get past those 2 transfers through her 16 boxes underneath her high defense and armor. Because if I leave even 1 box on her, she'll just feat and heal all of it back. Any other caster, you could potentially do a bunch of damage and then in the following turn, you know, finish them off. But her, it's until that feat is gone, you have to clear her out completely. So I activate Pendrake because I would like to get my my Pyre free. So I activate him up thinking, oh, I'll just throw a bola at him and knock him down. Nope, wait, can't do that. Serpentine. Alright, well, I'll put Beastlower on the Pyre. Oh, wait, nope, can't do that. It's not a warrior model. So, round 3 of failed activations on Pendrake's part. Or my part guiding Pendrake. So activate Horgle. Horgle goes ahead and heals the Pyre to make him fully functional. Steps out from behind the woods to put the Pyre's Animus on the Pyre to give him +2 strength. This way I'm going to be able to swing at POW 14s and then spend my Fury to boost the hit to get past the high defense. So Pyre advances up because I'm not going to charge. I need the boosting hit and binding attacks. Boost the hit. And I do a little bit of damage, nothing much. Or actually, no, I didn't even do any damage. And then I turn around and buy an attack and boost and miss. So Pyre's full. Horgle's standing out in the open with no transfers. I'm honestly thinking that Horgle and that Pyre are basically dead next turn. So looking at the assassination, I need to get some Boomhowlers out of my way. I need to free up the Bomber because he's currently engaged. So I activate the Boomhowlers. I want to keep him near the objective in case the Ravagore frees up and goes after the objective. I can sack pawn off to a Boomer. Ideally, what I probably should have done is actually burrowed the Burrowers and used the Boomhowlers to engage to re-engage the Scythean and the Ravagore. And then I can, since I don't have the Pyre, I should just plain abandon the assassination scenario. And then maybe use the feat to go after trying to clear up the Ravagore or even the Scythean maybe. So have the Burrowers burrow under, use the feat, kill the Scythean, kill the Ravagore, and then re-engage anything that's still alive with the Boomhowlers. But I did not do that. I had assassination on the mind, and I was going to go for it. So the Boomhowlers just kind of engaged up, locked up the Raek again, or attempted to lock up the Raek again, and a couple of them moved around, tried to do shots. None of them hit. Her defense is too high. They would need aiming bonuses to actually try and do anything of any serious note. So Fellcaller activates. He war cries the Burrowers. Just to try and get some swings in there again. A little note about Scythians and when I'm playing Solus. I don't know what it is, but I have troubles making tough checks when I'm not playing Solus. But anytime I play Solus and he has a bunch of Trollkin models with tough within range of a Scythian, as soon as he hits one of them, I am 100% of the time guaranteed to pass that tough check. And he's used that on me so many times where he'll hit me once without the Animus, force a tough check. When the tough check happens, he'll then put up his Animus and hit me again, killing me, and then bloodbathing on everybody around me. And it's super irritating. He orchestrates it perfectly every single time. His Scythians are just an absolute bane to me. So I'm going through my activations, trying to swing on the Ravagore and the Scythian. Same as last turn. If I'm hitting with my POW 8s. Not with my guns, so any damage I do is minimal at best, and it really is. There's just no damage going on these beasts. So the Earthborn goes up because the Stinger is engaging the Bomber. I need to get the Bomber free because I want to have the Bomber stand still and get the aiming bonus. So I force the Earthborn to do a push and push the Stinger out of the Bombers, so that the Bomber is not engaged with the Stinger anymore by the Stinger's reach range. So I do get the push off, and I managed to push him back 1 inch. So now the Bomber's free to do an aiming bonus. So Grim advances up, and he has to get in range in order to pop the feet. Otherwise, I would have loved to just put snipe on him and shoot her from afar. So it pops feet, and I really should have abandoned this assassination attempt. I do manage to hit her. I boost the hit, and I manage to hit her. And I do a significant amount of damage that Solus does not transfer, even though he has 2 Fury on him. And I'm almost certain that he's doing that with the mindset of he's saving his transfers for the Bomber shots, because the Bomber shots have so much more potential of doing a lot more damage to him. So the Bomber goes ahead, and the Bomber activates, and he's going to take an aiming bonus on her, and he's going to toss his little 4-inch powder kegs on her. Boosting the hit. I do manage to hit. So I end up doing damage on killing one of the pot holders, giving another corpse to the pot, helping him make more lessers. And then I do damage on a pretty significant amount of damage on Abby, but she transfers that off. It's about here that I kind of realized she's got 1 transfer left. There's no way I'm going to kill her, and start kicking myself for not doing the assassination properly. But it just so happens that the second shot, even though she'd be able to transfer it, manages to miss anyways. So it deviates over to the Forsaken. I boost damage. I do like 2 points of damage because of the drift, and nothing to the Forsaken, and then it's just activate the stone and advance it up.
Okay, going into turn 3. He attempted to assassinate Absylonia last turn and failed, so I'm not dead, which is good. He also did pop his feet, so that's going to be a problem. So I go ahead and leech the Fury that I can. I have a couple of frenzy checks to take. One Shredder Frenzies goes ahead and attacks the objective. And my Stinger Frenzies so I'm trying to figure out my turn here. Trying to figure out if I can actually get anything to Grim this turn while I'm under the feet. So I go ahead and move up with one Forsaken who goes ahead and explodes. doing 5 points to the Pyre Troll, which is enough to kill it, and not doing any damage to the Boomhowler. Go ahead and move up with my other Forsaken, who goes at Blight Bombs. Does some damage to a couple of the pygmies, and does some damage on some Boomhowlers, causing tough checks. The nice thing is it frees up my Scythean so that it can actually get to where I hopefully need it to be this turn. I have my Shredder Rabbit in charge, and then eats the Boomhowler. And I get another corpse on my pot, which is always nice. Go ahead and move the pot up, kill another Acolyte, get myself another Stinger. Abby goes ahead and casts Slipstream and advances. I go ahead and put Carnivore on the Scythian. And I pop my feet. None of my beasts are really that hurt, so I'm mainly just popping the feet to clear the damage off of Absylonia. My Shredder advances after going rabid and bites the Earthborn. Then I move up with my Seraph. Who tries to take some shots, but is short. My Stinger goes ahead and charges. At Grim, I boost my attack roll, which I managed to hit just barely. And it's POW 12 versus armor 17 or something like that. So I managed to do some decent damage to Grim that he decides not to transfer. I go ahead and move in with my Scythian. He's only speed 3 at the moment, but between reach and the Slipstream, I still managed to get to Grim. So I boost my first attack on Grim. I hit. I boost my second attack and miss. So I don't manage to kill Grim, but he's at least mildly worried at this point. So my Raek goes ahead, walks up, and tries to smack Grim a couple of times, but doesn't really do much. I go ahead and move the Ravagore, since the pygmies were broken from an abomination check, and we realized that the Boomhowlers needed to take one as well. Go ahead and move up one of my Forsaken, who takes a Fury off of the Scythean. Then I go ahead and charge with my Angel, who boosts an armor-piercing attack at the Earthborn and does some decent damage to it. And I buy a couple more attacks, just in case. Then I just have my Shepherd run.
Troll's turn 4. So, I'm alive. I don't know how, but I'm alive. Let's see if we can make that last longer. Some checks on the beast for frenzy purposes, and just basically trying to figure out how I'm going to get alive. Obviously, I'm currently engaged by a Raek, a Scythean, and a Stinger. So I have 3 targets that I need to get the hell away from. So I am going to have to take 3 free strikes, but I have transfers, so I can transfer it off if I need to. But then I will also still need to have Fury on me for the follow-up turn, because I'm going to back away, and I'm not sure I'm necessarily going to be able to keep things off of me. I'm really kind of delaying the inevitable, but I'm hoping that by delaying the inevitable, my opponent may overextend or give me a chance to put some heavy damage onto Solus. So we go through the free strikes. I transfer one of the free strikes off. Another free strike only did enough damage. I think it was the free strike from the Stinger only did enough damage to actually take me down to my last hit point, so I decided not to transfer it so that I had more fury to function with. And basically I'm pulling Grim back and getting him to a point where he's not engaged and not in the kill box, because I have the kill box. So I'm basically caught between a rock and a hard place. So I activate him and I go through, do some healings to get my beast functioning again. Ideally, what I actually probably should have done is after I spent the Fury to heal the beast, I should have pulled the Fury out of the vault and put it onto Grim. But I didn't. It's not something I actually don't do terribly often, so sometimes I actually forget that you can do it. Impaler goes ahead and activates and push him forward, going after the Scythean. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to do anything to him, but if I can engage him, then Grim can stay alive a little longer. And that's where, again, I'm just really trying to get to a point where Solus gives me a shot, gives me a chance to put a bullet into Appy's head. I've abandoned the scenario. I've abandoned almost my beasts to death. It's just looking for that 1% chance of winning this. So going through the beasts, trying to kill the Scythean, trying to kill the Angel. Not really able to get much out of the Earthborn. Wasn't able to finish off the Angel. Trying to use Pendrake now, see if there's a way I can kill the Forsaken. If I can get it to a point where Abby's can't handle all of the fury that's on the table from the various beasts. You know, having less beasts that he can play with means I may survive another turn. You know, if the Angel frenzies, then I don't have to worry about an armor-piercing Angel on Grim. And if the Scythean frenzies, then I don't have to worry about killing, you know, an Impaler or something like that. And maybe the Bomber lives or whatever the case might be. But I'm basically just trying to mess with his fury in hopes of messing with his next turn. Boomhowlers activate. They're basically just putting themselves into a position where they can put some damage, trying to get some random shots in at either Abby or engaging a War Beast or anything that will help. I notice that my opponent doesn't have much time on his clock, so you know, not much I can do except pull away, pray, and maybe he clocks.
Okay, going to turn 4. I'm kind of running low in time on my clock, so I leech the fury that I know I'm going to need from beasts I know I'm going to need this turn, and I go ahead and let most of my lessers go ahead and frenzy. I'm not terribly worried about it, and they're not going to do all that much for me this turn. They do go ahead and put some fairly decent amount of damage into his heavies, and other than that, they're just pretty much there to get in the way at this point. Critically, my Raek does not frenzy, so I go ahead and move up with my Forsaken and take the Fury off of it. I then move up with my Scythean, who starts attacking his heavy war beasts, and through the fact that they've already been damaged and some decent rolling, I managed to kill both of them. I go ahead and move up Absylonia, who puts Playing God on the Raek, who then casts its own Animus, advances, leaps, and then boosts a headbutt attack into Grim for free because of Playing God. He hits, knocking Grim down, doing no damage. Then I move my Angel up and Armor Pierce and knock down Grim, hitting automatically because he's knocked down. And then he fails his tough check.